everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from Skaventide. Yes, today we are painting the Ratling Warpblaster. Here it is, in all its glory. Isn't it fantastic? I really like it, I think it's very cool. So, thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this one early to build up and paint for all of you as part of the Skaventide box. And we are now going to jump in and we're going to start painting it. So, it's been primed in Grey Sear. And the colour we're going to be using first is some Wyldwood. And we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the wood. Now, we're basically going to paint the Warpblaster up to Warhipster Battle Ready. Then we're going to do the crew. And then we're going to do the gunner. Then once it's all Warhipster Battle Ready, we'll come back and take it to the next level, naturally. But that's the order of operations I think that we're going to go in. Because when you're painting something like this, it's quite easy to get lost. And kind of forget things if you're trying to, for example, do all of the Wyldwood at once. You might miss a rope or something. Or a boot, or a belt, or anything really. So it's just easier to kind of take it a section at a time, which is what we're going to do. And it does make the video a little bit longer, but you'll see why. It's just so much more efficient, I think, doing it this way. So for now, we are just going to focus on the gun itself. And then once that's all done, we'll come back. So with all that Wyldwood applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over top of these pipes and cables and things. Like that sort of thing. We've got the large one here as well. So with that all done, it's now time for metallics. So, the colour we're going to be using first here is some thinned down Runelord Brass. And we're going to be applying this over the top of, well, quite a few of the focal point details. So we're going to be applying this all over the top of the kind of blast shield, which is this bit here and this bit here as well. Like that. We're going to be applying it over the top of the kind of main drum of the Warpblaster, which is all this bit in here. For example, we've got this little bit of contraption just there, and we're going to be applying this over the top of the casing on the back here. So all of that bit, all of that. Now watch out for these kind of recessed bits, like that bit there. We want to make sure we get this one over this one, but when it comes to the kind of lid, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do this pipe here, and we're also not going to do this large bit round the middle. With all of that Runelord Brass applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the remaining details on the Warpblaster itself. including all the stuff on the carriage as well. So with all of that done, that is a lot of metallics, as you can see. So it is actually now time to add some shades and some extra colours. So the first of these is going to be some Gryph-Hound Orange. And we're going to apply this over the top of this area of the Runelord Brass, so the blast shield. Like that sort of thing. We're also going to apply this over the top of, and we will do kind of all of this area over here, but we're also going to apply this over the top of the inner part of the drum on the back. So all of this section. Like that. And with all that Gryph-Hound Orange applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood, and we're going to apply this over top of this pipe back here. Like so. I'm going to apply it over the top of this pipe. There, like that. We're also going to apply it over this bit of trim on the back of the chair. Which appears to share absolutely no structural purpose whatsoever. Just clearing up my mistakes with a clean, dry brush. Like that. Lovely. And what we're also going to do with the Wyldwood is we're going to apply this over top of this dome. Like that. And so with that done, we're then going to shade all of the metallics with some Agrax Earthshade. I'm just going to start down here on the wheel. And then work my way around. So with that done, our kind of Warpblaster chassis is now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. And I know I said we'd move on, but actually I think it's probably wise to just finish it off, because I think we're going to use some dry brushes and stuff. Before we get to the dry brush, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Tesseract Glow, and we're going to apply this inside these triangles back here. We're also going to apply this inside the split in the pipe. And then there's these little holes in this pipe as well. So with that Tesseract Glow all applied, what we're then going to do is take some Karak Stone, and we're going to use this to dry brush the wood. Now don't worry if you get this on some of the metallics, that's okay. Just adds a little bit of kind of dusty dirt to them. It's all good. So with that Karak Stone dry brush applied, we're then going to take some Ironbreaker, and we're going to dry brush this over the top of all the metallics. So with that done, it's not really a highlight, but it is important. What we're going to do is we're going to take some Leadbelcher here and use this to pick out the staples along the pipe. So with that all done, the actual Warpblaster itself is now finished. So what we're going to do is move on to the crew. Now, I didn't think we'd be back painting clan rats as soon as we are, but we are. And well, what we're going to do is we're going to mostly follow our clan scryer recipe. However, it's a little bit more uniform here because all of their top kind of bits of clothes are going to be black. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually start by taking some Creed Camo, and over 2 of them, what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over top of the lower robes. And we're going to do it on this one here and the one at the back on the other side. Whilst we're waiting for that Creed Camo to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Templar, and we're going to apply this over the top of this one's trousers. And with that black Templar applied there, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde, and we're going to apply this over this one's trousers slash underrobe. So with that Skeleton Horde all applied, we can now take the Militarum Green, because the Creed Camo should be all dry, and we're going to apply this over the top. And this should be familiar if you've been following along with our Skaventide coverage so far. Just give us that lovely kind of scryer green. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the upper robes across all 4 of the crew. So with all that Black Legion applied, we're then going to work on the skin, and we're just going to do the same recipe across all 4, because that's basically what Games Workshop have done. But we're going to use one of our recipes from the Clan Rats video, and that's going to be some Fyreslayer Flesh up first. So we're going to be applying this over the top, all the skin and hair, excluding the tail. With all that Fyreslayer Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Berserker Bloodshade, and we're going to apply this over the top of the tails. And with that then done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Garaghak Sewer, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the hair across all of our little clan rats. So with all that Garaghak Sewer applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood, and we're going to apply this over top of any ropes, leather, straps, wraps, all that good stuff. With that then done, we're going to take some Gore-Gurnta Fur, and we're going to apply this over the top of the toenails teeth and the noses. So with that then done, we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. We're going to apply this over top of all of these remaining metallic details. So we've got the little bits of mail. Scattered around the crew. Like that. However, we do also have these bars, which we could have done earlier, but for the sake of not having to redo them later in and around all of these bits of cloth and stuff, that's why we didn't do it. So with that all done, what we're going to do, whilst we're waiting for the metallics to dry, is we're going to take a tiny, tiny amount of Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the eyes. And so with that now done, the metallic should be fully dry. So we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to shade all of them. So with that all done, our Skaven crew are now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. So I'm going to move on from them and we're going to work on the engineer, because it is an engineer, so this should be reasonably familiar. If you followed the Warlock engineer video, what we're going to do is we're going to start out by taking some Sigvald Burgundy. And we're going to apply this over the top of our engineer's robe. With all that Sigvald Burgundy applied, we're then going to take some Ratling Grime. And we're going to apply this over top of the skin and hair. With that then done, we're going to take some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over top of the leather and over the top of the armour, except for the face mask. And so with that then done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Gore-Gurnta Fur, and we're going to apply this over the top of the toenails. But we're also going to apply this over the top of the fur of our engineer. Like that. We're also going to apply this inside the ears. And with that Gore-Gurnta Fur applied, we're then going to take some Guilliman Flesh and apply this over the top of the tail. So with that now done, what we're going to do is going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to apply this over the top of these spikes on the back, like so, and over top of this face mask. And so with that then done, we're going to take some thinned down Runelord Brass, and we're going to apply this over top of this little gas tank, I guess is what it is. Like so. But there's also these tiny little triangles on the mask that we're going to apply this over as well. Like that. As well as the kind of ends of the vents on the rebreather. So with that all done, it is now time to once again add some shades, and the first of these is going to be some Carroburg Crimson, and we're going to use this to shade the Sigvald Burgundy. And with that then done, we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. We're going to use this to shade all of the metallics and silver and the Runelord Brass. So really, we should have said both the metallics. But what we're also going to do is we're going to apply the Agrax Earthshade over the top of the black armour. Not over the top of the leather, just over the armour. So with that all done, our Ratling Warpblaster is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. All over. The actual gun carriage itself is, well, that's finished, but the rest of it we now need to take to the next level. And we're going to do this by adding just a couple of highlights and some dry brushes. Now the first of these is going to be a dry brush, and it's going to be some Karak Stone, which we've already done once before on all of the wood. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use this to dry brush all of the clothes of our crew, like this. And we're also going to use this to dry brush the fur and the skin of our engineer. Don't worry if you catch some of the armor and stuff like that, that's okay. Just adds a little bit of a kind of a dirty highlight, as you can see there, to that black armor. That's absolutely fine. And indeed, even if you get this on some of the Sigvald Burgundy robe, that's also okay. You don't have to worry too much about that. Similarly, on the crew, we can use this just to add a very gentle dry brush to some of the hair. And as you can see, it just nicely picks out these areas. Just being gentle, as always. You don't want to go too heavy here. Just like this sort of thing. So with that Karak Stone dry brush applied, what we can then do is take some thinned down flayed one flesh, and we're going to use this to just highlight the kind of the skin of the crew. With all that flayed one flesh applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Screaming Skull. I'm going to use this to pick out all of their teeth. And we're also going to do this on the couple of teeth that you can see on the engineer as well. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to move on to highlighting the last bits of the engineer up here. So the colour we're going to be using for this is some thinned down pink horror. I'm using this to highlight the robe. And so with that then done, what we can do is we can take some thinned down Administratum Grey. And because we've already hit some of that black armour with the Karak Stone, all we need to do here is we need to take the Administratum Grey, not Karak Stone, we've already done that, and just use this to pick out the sharpest bits. With that Administratum Grey applied, we can then take some thinned down Ironbreaker and use this just to highlight our little bits of silver. So with that then done, we take a little bit of Canoptech alloy, And we use this to highlight our brassy bits. And with that done, there's just two things left to do, and one of them is to take some Tesseract Glow, and we're going to apply this inside the goggles. Like that. And like that. And with that Tesseract Glow applied, we're then going to take a little bit of Ork Flesh. And we're going to add a little tiny amount of this in the middle of the goggles. Like that sort of thing. But what we're also going to do with the Ork Flesh is going to apply this over the top of the lens on this sight, just here. Like so. And we've got the little pipe just here. And we've got the other side of the sight. Like that. And so with our base now complete, our Ratling Warpblaster is now finished. And well, it's tough to choose between this one and the Clawlord as to which is the biggest and most impressive model in the box. It's probably this one is biggest, but the Clawlord's more impressive. However, this thing absolutely spits out firepower and is very impressive in that regard. So I really enjoyed this one. Can't wait for more Skaven War engines, maybe? If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.